Folks, we're back. This is Steve Sanson, Jim Jones for Veterans in Politics. Today we have Michael Brewer, candidate for U.S. Senate in 2024. Just to explain, a lot of candidates, they start campaigning 3 years before they even file. So this is not unusual at all. Next year, there's a lot of candidates going to be hitting the ground running come January, February, and they're going to start running for seats that are not due until 2024. So here's a prime example right now. So we're going to get to know a little bit about Mr. Brewer. But before we do that, Jim, you have any rants?
Actually, just to kind of piggyback on what you said, that was about what I was getting ready to say.
Really?
It's one of those things. It's like, it's good for us, right?
Mm-hmm.
That politics is now 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, 365 days a year, basically. It wasn't exactly ever intended to be that, but being in the political climate that we are these days, it is pretty much a necessity for candidates to start very early. If nothing else, get your name out there, start attending events, get your donors lined up,
And especially if they're running for a statewide seat.
Right, exactly.
You can't get in front of everybody. What, we got about 3 million people here, a little over?
Yeah.
So
yeah.
It's 3.5, 3.7 in the entire state?
Yeah.
Something like that?
Yeah. When I was saying we were going to have Michael on, people were like, starting already? I said, yeah, it never stops anymore.
You remember when they used to have Muni on the odd years?
Yeah.
So next year we would have entered into a municipal race.
Right, yeah.
And started gathering candidates all the way from January, right?
Yeah.
And then I think they file in January. I'm not sure forgot how the municipal race does. And then the legislature's passed that law saying that, okay, all elections are on even
years now, yeah.
So, and then some people that were in the Muni race, they got an extra year on their candidacy? No, it'd be on their I forget. On their term.
On their term, yeah.
So
well, it's just the way it is now. So, but I'm glad that people are getting started early. So at least now we know, like, we're already starting to see the pool of candidates. So everybody can get started.
Yeah, I've had a few of them call me already. So you see them start coming on the show.
Oh, I'm sure you have. Yeah.
So, anyways, you have any rants?
No rants. That was about it. Nothing really getting on my nerves this week or anything.
All right, well,
just kind of going with the flow.
That's supposed to be a good sign, 11-11.
Right.
Let's get to know who Michael Brewer is.
Yeah.
Right? Michael, tell us about yourself.
I'm a retired veteran.
How many years?
I was in for about 2.5 years. I joined...
Did you say you retired veteran, 2.5 years? Explain. Were you disabled vet?
Yes.
100%?
100%.
Okay. All right. What was your MOS?
I went in for combat control in the Air Force.
Oh, Air Force. Another one of those, Jim. Jim's brother's Air Force.
Yeah.
You're a Marine, right?
Yeah.
I went to a Marine high school. I went to a Marine Military Academy in South Texas.
Oh, did you? He wants kudos for that. we're just messing with you.
It's just a little bit of a different education than your average high school.
Yeah. True.
Yeah, I bet.
In Texas, a Marine, that's what it's called, a Marine high school?
Marine Military Academy. It's the only Marine Corps base military boarding school in the nation.
You know what? If that school was here, I would send my daughter to it.
Absolutely.
It's so funny you say that because I'm like, I bet your Faith is going, oh, thank goodness there's not one here.
Yeah, she just started high school. I would definitely send her to that. Definitely.
There is no, I'm staying home from school today. So.
Oh, no. They're coming to get you.
Right.
Colonel, come on over here and pick her up.
So you miss a homework assignment. They're taking you out on Battalion Street at 11 o'clock at night doing push-ups.
Oh, my God. We need something like that here.
Hey, I think a lot more kids should go to stuff.
I think you should advocate for something like that here in Southern Nevada.
I think we definitely have room for that. Our education here in Nevada, it's in the gutter.
Yeah.
We do not rank well nationally at all.
No.
And I hope to change that.
I'm having lunch with one of the trustees after the show. I'm going to ask her about that. putting a military academy here because I think that'd be perfect.
Yeah, it would be.
Yeah, maybe not going to help my daughter out, but it probably help some other
future kids out. Yeah.
Please continue, Mr. Brewer.
So when I was in the military, I completely destroyed my back with that rucksack.
I'm familiar with that.
You put a rucksack on a guy and all his gear, and you had another dude on top of that, his
and
rucksack,
rifle,
and go run.
Yeah.
Like, it's ridiculous.
Yeah.
You did that in the Air Force?
Well, it was special ops in the Air Force.
Oh, okay.
So that's
The commandos, right? Were you part of the commando?
Combat control.
Okay.
I was recruited by a guy named Sean Harvell from my hometown. We lost him a few years ago, and we lost his brother, who was two hometown heroes of mine out in Long Beach, California, where I'm from. He went down in that Chinook with all the SEALs.
Okay.
He was the combat controller on board.
Yeah.
Okay. So that was your MOS?
I went in for combat control. After injuries, I ended up being reclassed into back shop avionics, working in electronic warfare up in Alaska.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Where in Alaska?
At Eielson Air Force Base.
Yeah.
All right. Please continue.
So, let's get into the nitty gritty of some of the politics.
Now, I want to know more about you.
About me?
Yeah, we want to know your background so you get so people get.
Don't worry, we'll
get there.
Well, I think a lot of this started with my mother. My mother has been campaigning for the Republican Party out in California for years.
Okay.
I've been campaigning since I was about 5 years old.
Okay.
We were just trying to get better schools out there.
Mm-hmm.
And I think education is...
What part of Cal? What part of California?
Long Beach. Long Beach.
Snoop Dogg. Snoop Dogg. Go ahead.
Anyway, it's been a challenge. I think a lot of schools lose a lot of students. Mm-hmm. Right now, I'm kind of had a interesting background with education because I've been to private school, I've been to public school, I've been to military school. I've gone in the military and got probably one of the best educations you can get in the military.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And then when I got out, I went to Henley Putnam University. I majored in counterterrorism. Mm-hmm. And then I switched over and I went to NDSU up in North Dakota.
Okay.
Was majoring in manufacturing engineering.
Gotcha. So you did 2.5 years in the Army, and you
in the Air
Air Force, and you're 100% disabled vet.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. All right. So what's the pay? What's the pay for a 100% disabled vet? It's all the same.
It's not enough.
I know, but what's the pay? You know why I'm asking? Because I'm 100%.
I think
they always say never ask a question you don't know the answer
to. Yeah.
I think it's about $3,300 a month or something like that.
Yeah, 36.
36. I haven't been paying too close of attention to it.
You don't see it when it comes in your little deposit in your bank account. You don't pay attention.
I don't pay attention to that too much.
Do you have dental?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Just checking. So, why are you running for United States Senate? You've never ran for public office before, have you?
Well, I believe in.
Is this your whole back? Did you do your whole background? Did you talk about your whole background?
My whole background?
Yeah.
No,
Do you have kids? You married?
I'm a jack of all trades.
What do you do now?
I'm retired. I'm a stay-at-home dad.
Okay. That's a noble thing.
Yeah.
I did that for a little bit myself. Okay. And hold your son, daughter.
My dad. I'm sorry. A little nervous.
Oh, no worries.
My son's a month old.
Oh,
right,
beautiful.
Brand
Congratulations.
Brand
your
new
first?
baby boy. Yeah, my
Your
first.
Oh, congrats. So how long you been married for?
I've been married. We got married during.
I'm assuming you're married.
We got married
They don't do that
during the
anymore.
pandemic.
Though.
We got married during the pandemic.
So you got married in a bubble?
Literally. We got married at Shark Reef in Mandalay Bay.
Oh.
At the aquarium, and there were about 10 people.
Okay.
And then now we ended up having our reception later. Was we had a friends and family out for that, and that was a great event. I cooked for it.
Did you?
Yeah.
You're the groom and you cooked? Oh boy, look at this guy.
Yeah.
So, are you a religious person, or?
I am.
Okay. What's your faith?
I grew up going to Lutheran school, and I believe in a lot of. I consider myself a non-denominational Christian.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. You go to church, or?
Yes.
Okay. Usually they say, what's that phrase? It says, "The kingdom of God is not made of bricks and stone. The kingdom of God is within you." That means you don't have to go to a building to worship and pray. You could do it anywhere.
And I did that for years. I now that my son's born, we've been looking for a church home out here, where he can grow up in the faith.
Okay. So, how long you been married for?
2 years.
Oh, congratulations. You're still a newlywed.
Yeah.
Yeah. What makes you want to become a United States? Well, before I even ask that question, Mr. Brewer, what do you think would make a great senator? And what do you think that you would need to accomplish those goals? To even get out of the primary?
So what I think is interesting about my experience with politics is that politicians, they run a popularity contest, and then once they get into office, do they give a shit about you? No.
Not all.
Not all.
Not all. Yeah.
Not the majority.
True.
Yeah.
So I think that...
And you know this based on what?
Based on personal experience with them.
Okay.
I think that what's unique is I ran a campaign for Doug Burgum up in North Dakota. He's for governor. Mm-hmm. And in central states in the United States, you have access to your politicians.
Yeah, but some of that just has to do with population too. I mean, North Dakota, South Dakota aren't exactly overpopulous states.
Right, but when you have a government for the people, by the people,
right,
you don't want to have taxation without representation. Mm-hmm. You want to have representation. So when you have access to your politicians, to be able to raise, I can tell you that when you go and actually try to make a difference in this country.
And hold on just 1 second. A question just came up. Sorry to interrupt. But how long you've been here in Nevada?
I've been here since 2017.
Oh, okay.
Right, and Nevada is a place that we find near and dear to our hearts, and we want to stay.
And what brought you here?
Well, what brought us here is I was up in North Dakota, and I have arthritis in my back, and I tell you, the weather is great down here.
So you've been here, roughly 5 years now? Okay. Please continue.
So, I know I came here under the notion that I'm running for U.S. Senate, but in the 11th...
They might call that carpetbagger.
In the 11th hour last night, my wife comes to me in tears.
Why?
She doesn't want to be in the public light.
She better get used to it.
Well,
so are you rescinding or are you moving forward?
I'm rescinding, but
So you're not running for public office?
I'm not.
Show's over. What the hell we doing here, Jim?
Wait a minute.
Mark, lock it up.
But I did want to come down here and talk to you guys today because
It's okay. We're not busy. We don't have much to do.
just because I'm not running for public office doesn't mean I'm not a veteran in politics. So
yeah, but this show wasn't about. Well, it's about that all the time, but this show was specifically geared to talk about you being a candidate for U.S. Senate in 2024.
I'll tell you, if you write my name in, I'll do the office.
Oh, well, that's nobody's going to write anybody's name in.
Yeah, there'll be plenty of people. I think that are going to run.
You can't blindside us like this, Mr. Brewer.
Well, now I know why you were nervous.
Well,
I'll let you finish. I'm sorry.
Let me finish. So, this past election, I was an election observer.
Right. Yeah. So was I, and pretty interesting.
It's a pretty interesting topic. Is election observation. It actually, for me, is the cornerstone of how our elections do have integrity. Yeah. Is that any member of the general public can go in and observe an election. But here in Clark County, we have some problems.
Yeah.
So there's a state law that it has kind of been abused, in which you have it so that election observers have to be in their assigned location. At my polling site, that was a 4x4 square. Now, any good magician can tell you if you can control the audience's point of view, you can control their perception.
Yeah.
So I raised some issue with this when I saw a wall of poll workers getting in front of the 4x4 box where the observers stand, obstructing the observer's view. I tried to call the chief of police in Henderson. And for doing that, I was illegally trespassed from the property. They broke the Civil Rights Act by discriminating against a disabled vet. And
did they know you're disabled?
Yeah.
How did they know that?
Because I identified.
Okay. You pull out your ID card?
Huh?
Did you pull out your ID card? Because anybody could say that.
Well,
anybody could say I'm a disabled vet.
I get that, but
see, I was gonna ask you some really tough questions about the U.S. Senate race. Yeah. I was gonna ask if you're a stay-at-home dad, how you're gonna bring your child with you, and is it 2 months old? You said.
Ask me.
But you're not running for it now.
I stand by my word.
You can't, Mr. Brewer. Look here. We appreciate you want to come on the show. We really do. But if you weren't running for the U.S. Senate race and you knew that prior to coming on air, you should at least told us. We could have changed the show around to kind of talk about, veterans. I
was completely planning on running for the U.S. Senate until my wife came to me the other night.
The other night, but before you came on and sat down, you already knew you weren't going to run, right?
Yeah.
So you blindsided us, and the caption says, I'll tell you exactly what the caption says. The caption says, Michael Brewer, candidate for U.S. Senate 2024 on the veterans in politics. Mm-hmm. So that's not what this show is about now. It's so with that, unless you have anything, Jim.
So
we could have tailored the show to something else. We could have tailored it Michael Brewer talking about veterans issues, blah blah blah. I mean, but that's not what the show is tailored right now.
Well,
you blindsided us.
I completely apologize for that. What I am looking to do is, I think that the election department intimidating observers, as I saw on.
See, that could have been the show.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. But that's not the show.
Well,
because you didn't tell us.
We're making the show right now.
No, the caption is already It's already up there.
Yeah.
This is live. This is not. We can't go back and edit this. You know, folks. Look here. If you're coming on the show saying that you're a candidate, be a candidate. If you knew you're not a candidate, let us know. Or cancel, or whatever. I'd rather you cancel, although I hate when people cancel. But I'd rather you cancel than come on the show.
Or could have just contacted you, and then you asked me, like, hey, Jim, do you still want to do this? Or we could have figured something out.
Because, we got out of bed. Jim had 2 girls in his bed, and he had to toss them out just to come here.
And I think you still got out of bed for good reason.
Mark over here, he had video things going on. He had some porno shows he was doing. and now he had to stop all that to come over here. Me, I was just bored out of my mind, and I wanted to stay that way. I was watching 24 on Hulu.
Good show.
Yeah, I got my dog on my lap. And I came down here, all right, this guy's running for U.S. Senate. Let's talk to him. And do you know how many calls I got from people that are running for U.S. Senate? And they're probably watching this show right now, thinking that you're one of their opponent and find out how they're going to strategize against you or bring you to the furl or whatever.
Here's what I would like to do. Is come election day, I have the best brisket this side of the Mississippi. And I'm telling you, I will feed any observer that goes to the Clark County election department and observes in this election. I think if we bring light to election observation, we can have fair elections in this country.
Yeah.
That could have been the show. But that
is the show.
Did I just read to you what the show is? Well, Michael, you have anything?
If you go to Public Servant NV, I was planning on running.
You were. And when you walked in the studio, you were not planning on running. Fair?
Fair.
Okay. And you didn't let us know. Fair?
I thought we were having a conversation.
Did you not get the text?
Senate.
I sent you this text twice, right? And it shows the caption, right? You even responded to it.
You asked me a question about U.S. Senate. Maybe we can inspire a good candidate to run.
Michael, there are several candidates already in this race. And matter of fact, when I text you the last time, which was I text you Thursday at 12:39. Did you know you were running Thursday at 12:39?
I was running Thursday at
When I text you Thursday at 12:39, it says Michael Brewer, candidate for U.S. Senate 2024, Veterans of Politics show, and you responded, "Okay, see you then."
Correct.
You could,
because my wife was on board until 1:00 last night, and
okay, you could have texted me at 1:15 last night and told me about this morning, right?
Yeah.
And told me you changed your mind, you're not running anymore. And then I would have said, all right, Michael, let's what do you want to talk about? We could talk about something else. You could have gave me that opportunity to change the show up for you so you could come on.
I'm sorry I messed up your
that.
hashtags, man.
But you kind of messed it up. So maybe next time. And if you do decide to run for office again, I probably won't put you on until you actually put your name on the ballot. I don't want to like deceive, our audience out
I'm
there.
not trying to deceive your audience. That's why I'm coming clean on the show.
Okay.
I
appreciate that.
Yeah. Well, yeah.
Well, you took my fire out because I had a whole bunch of U.S. Senate. Jim had a whole bunch of U.S. Senate questions he wanted to throw at you.
Throw them.
But you're not running.
But you're not running, so it doesn't matter. Now we're not gonna. Okay, so here's the thing. I'm just gonna add this real quick. If we start asking you questions and you're not a candidate, we have plenty of other candidates that, trust me, are going to come on the show, and then they're going to be like, okay, now I know what Steve and Jim are going to ask. Mm-hmm. That's one of the things. That's why we don't have notes.
Yeah, you don't see any notes?
Because we don't want the guests to know what questions are going to be asked, because if they can't handle Steve and I, you shouldn't be a U.S. Senator. Mm-hmm. So that's why we.
Well, then we're fair. You don't want me to know what questions.
But you're not a candidate, Mr. Brewer.
Yeah.
So do you have? We got to end the show. abruptly. Just to let you know. I'd like to say thank you for your service.
Again, if you go to publicservantnv.com, you can sign up for our mailing list, and you can donate to help support us feeding observers Election Day, because we want to make sure that our elections are fair and integral, and whatever candidates you have, you need to have a fair election. And when you have acoustic paneling separating observers from the people actually counting the votes, so that you only hear a low murmur, that's obstruction.
Yep.
Right? So that's what's going on in Clark County. And I hope to God that we can have a government that's by the people and not by the corrupt.
Well, we're in agreement on that.
Yeah, we sure. That's part of our mission statement, isn't it? Yeah. So, anyways, Mr. Brewer, thank you so much for coming on the program. Jim, thank you so much for coming on here. You could get back to, what's her name, Candy and Lucy. Who was the two girls that was there? It was Candy and Lucy. Mark. All right. Folks, this is Steve Sanderson, Jim Jonas with Veterans in Politics. That was Michael Brewer, almost a candidate for U.S. Senate 2024. This is Steve Sanderson, Jim Jonas. Until next time.